Hey, fellow tennis nerds. I hope all is well. Today I have a guest. I've tried to get him on for a while. Our schedules haven't mixed up perfectly because he's been traveling. He's been in Croatia with the Marin Cilic, of all players. And he's now in Covington, Louisiana, right? So you're back to
Yeah.
your homestead for the time being. Davor Dekaris from Tennis Haus, huge following and very, very good coach. I have a friend who's very negative about online coaching, but he likes Davor stuff, and that's a sign of. And he's a very good player, so that's a sign of being approved. So how
I
are you
like.
today, man?
Very good, very good. Had already a long day of teaching, and but other than that, planning a lot of things for October. I have a big event in October. It's the Tennis House. It's not a conference anymore. It's turning into a Tennis House weekend. With DJ Matt Lings is going to come. He's right now in Washington with Nicholas Monroe, Johan Kriek, Emilio Sanchez, Peter Freeman. From Crunch Time. So and then I have a good lineup coming there. Justin Ross, who works with Alexander Richard, and then I might get Alexander and Ante Pavic here, and then a few more. So it's a big event. A lot of planning started at 6 years ago. So I'm working every day on it until October.
Wow, wow! And then you're still coaching as well, among all that.
Yes. So about at the moment probably like 30 hours. I try to be 30 hours is like the limit for me now. Since I'm running a Tchefuncta Country Club tennis department, so I have other responsibilities. So it takes a lot of time.
And Tchefuncta is in Covington, Louisiana. And how did you end up there? Because I mean, you're Croat from the beginning, and you went to Germany as well, right? You played for Germany for a while, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I was born and raised actually in Germany. Both parents are from Croatia. I speak it fluently, and when both parents are from one country, you're raised like that. So I'm raised like a Croatian kid, I think. And then I moved 13 years ago here to Covington, Louisiana, which is about 30 miles north from New Orleans, and yeah. So life brings you in weird places, but in the end, it turned out really, really good here. It's a beautiful facility, nice country club. We have a great golf course, and it's fun running it there. I really enjoy it.
Great. And you also have a famous stand-up comedian from Covington, Louisiana, Theo Von. Do you know about him or?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I don't know him personally, but a lot of my friends know him, and yeah, I follow him as well. And yeah, he's funny. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he has always has very interesting stories from Covington. Growing up in Louisiana in the poor areas, I would say that's usually how he describes it. Yeah, so you played in Germany. You played as try to become a pro. I guess you were a pro for quite a while.
That's right. Other guys, in the online business, like Intuitive, Mr. Intuitive Tennis, Nikolai, he played in Germany, and then other guys. So I tried, played like Regionalliga. It's a decent level, number one and two. So I had a lot of friends, who went pro, and I tried, let's say a year and a half, but I wish I would have had a coach who told me just focus on doubles, find a guy that's 6'6", that has good hands, and just try 10 years. I think that would have been the route for me to go because physically that was the biggest difference. When I went to a tournament, you say in Croatia, we had the satellites at that time. That was around 2000. That's how I met my friend Diego Moyano, who was coaching Coco Golf. He played in the same tournament there. I remember we connected afterwards, and I played pre-qualifying with the 128 draw, and then I went into qualifying, another 128 draw. It's the first clay court tournament season in March, in Croatia. So they're crazy to get a point, and then, you play guys who don't even sweat the play. You lose 2-2, you think you play good. So people underestimate, it's you have to be unbelievably physically fit, and other than that, no chance to do something, and even with the right coaches, the right mentality, maybe I would have been 900, 800 max, but that's it, I know my limits, and I saw those guys, and I respect every single player that's battling there, in the challengers and the futures, and barely make money, and they're fighting their ways through, like I know, like there's so many out there. I hope the prize money thing is going to change one day, because I feel, yeah, I could talk years about the prize money.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest problem because it seems like otherwise you at least have some incentive. You can, eat the right food, get a proper coach, get strength and conditioning. But if you have to live very Spartanly and then also play professional sports, it's a very difficult combination to have. So you need those kind of sponsor or rich parents or something to help you do the right things while being a pro and going to win prize money, because all the way up to top 100, it's not so nice with the prizes.
No, it's tough. I remember, look, even that like 6-8 months I played, I shared a room with 4 or 5 guys. I slept on the floor, I was happy. I saved 20 euros, so that's, people forget about it. So I feel like, the countries that have a lot of futures and challengers do a great job. They're going to have it a little bit easier to give wild cards to players. And I feel like, if I would have been given like 10 wild cards and 10 futures, I would have won one round and I had but it's over. I like to give my knowledge to the kids. I enjoy that actually more, and it's fun to coach. I love it.
Yeah, I think you need to be really passionate, and also you built up a strong following. I don't think you do that if you're not very passionate about coaching. Getting back to your roots a bit, like Croatia is a strong tennis nation. Like you have, Pavic, Mektic, Ancic was good, Silic obviously, so there's many good players. Like, is there a strong tennis culture there for many, many years, or where does it come from, kind of, that you bring out good player after good player?
Yeah, when you grow up, like Croatia is still not a rich country. It's like, I will not say poor, but like, the kids, there are certain areas where, you don't have a lot of things and you have to fight for things. And, they know where they come from, you hear in the stories with Novak training in the pool and Janko Tipsarevic, and all those things. And I think you just build a certain mentality when you don't have everything, so you have to work for it. So if I compare that a little bit, we have great American players and it's fun to watch now, but still, when you look in the clubs, the kids are in a bubble. The parents try to protect them as much as they can, and you heard that before. And I feel like it's hard to develop that pit bull mentality on the court, and it's possible. Obviously, there are a lot of great kids, but I think it's a little bit easier. And then in Croatia too, there's nothing else. You have only sports. You can't make any. That's like a kind of escape. And I always say to the people, not just in tennis, when I'm a different generation. I'm friends. I don't mind. All my friends are Serbian, Bosnian. We all my generation. So me personally, I don't. The older generation always looks at the war and they have a different feeling about it. But I love all my friends from Serbia, and I have so many. We were just one country, and I feel like hopefully the new generations, it's gonna be good that we work together, and we do. And look, just imagine in tennis, we would have had Djokovic, we would have Cilic, and soccer, all Modric, and all the Serbian players. Look at the basketball, we would have Doncic and Jokic, and everyone playing in one team. I mean, the nation. Serbia does an unbelievable job. Montenegro, Slovenia, it's all. They want to get out there, and I think the values are still the right way. And things changing too now. Times get different, but it's a total sports nation. Everything that has a ball, that's what they play there.
That's true, and I think the mentality is important, because if you sometimes grow up in a pretty wealthy environment and you have like everything you need, you don't build that fighter instinct. And I think you see that even in Novak, as you said, but also other players, that they know how to get it done, and they know that they have to have that mentality to win the matches. Because tennis it's like UFC with a ball, right? So it's quite a tough sport to compete in. When it comes to American tennis, you alluded to, but how's the tennis vibe where you coach? Like over there, is it like tennis still going strong, or is like pickleball becoming quite a factor?
Yeah, pickleball is becoming everywhere big. But no, tennis is very strong still. It's a different. Like in Sweden, I have so many Swedish friends, and Pernfors is a friend of mine. He lives in Atlanta. I think he's in Atlanta area. It's big here. It's just different because we have tennis clubs in Europe where you go there and you can hang out the whole day and play, and it's still different. And the league structure is very strong in Germany, France, Switzerland, Italy. You can. The leagues are very competitive, so we don't have we have the recreational leagues here, which is full. So we have a lot of like ladies and guys playing, which is great. But like on the competitive side, there's a lot of tournaments. But to be really good, it's not easy because you have to belong to a club, either a private club where you pay like $200 monthly membership and then for every lesson, or you're in a country club. And when I grew up, we had those in Germany. We have like I was growing up in Berlin, so the federation gave me 3 times a week training, and then in my club, because they want you to play later, there was a Regionalliga. I looked up to all the guys, and then my club was Rudi Molleker. You probably heard of him. He grew up. He looked at me when I was playing at the beginning, when he was like 5, 6, not later. So he looked up and he wanted to play. And so the same, I looked up to the guy. So the structure is, if you're gonna play one day in the first team, they pay the training. My dad didn't have to pay anything. That was the club took care of it, and I like that structure because then you kind of bound with the club, and it's competitive. It's very good.
Yeah, I think so. I think what I see, like I'm in Marbella in Spain usually, and it's they have a lot of tennis academies and facilities, but they don't have a strong club atmosphere. Like there are no team tournaments, no team competitions, and I miss that a bit because in Sweden, in Germany, I mean Sweden is a smaller country, but there's still like a strong commitment to the club. Like you're playing in the league, you're trying to go up a division or not go down a division.
Yeah.
Germany, obviously, they pay a lot for players to come from all different countries to play for their teams. France, Italy, also very strong in country compete. Like so, I think the club is important. That club vehicle. That's how I feel about it. And in the US, you don't have much of team competitions for the clubs, do you? Or no?
Only in the adult area. There you have a lot, and that's way more than in Germany. Like in the adult sector, you have hundreds of teams. Like it's full. They play like USTA leagues and all that. So the United States Tennis Association leagues, and they're full. But for the kids, it's a little bit different. So you have to go a little bit different, route. There are not so many leagues. No.
No. Okay. For you, when you coach, do you find it most interesting to coach like complete beginners, kids, or like do you like working with more competitive players who want to go like pro or play like high level junior tennis?
I mean, so ideally, I like to mix it up because I like to have it always fresh. So I like to have the last 9 years. I had a kid. His name is Brody. He, I had him since he's 9, and then I had him every day. And he's going to college now, to Belmont Abbey here, and then he got a, good deal there. It's a great college. So I had him for 9 years. So that was kind of my. He's leaving in 2 weeks. So now I found the next one who's going to take his spot. So I always try to have 1 or 2 kids I really give my soul and heart to. I give that to all the kids, but those, who come 5 days a week, you just naturally develop a little bit different work relationship and everything. So, and then I like to teach everything, beginners, guys, ladies. We have everything. I have everything a little bit in there because I feel like then you don't get stale, and you always get different levels, and that's fun. So in the mornings more like ladies and guys, adults, and then in the evenings it's more like the juniors and then the high performance kids. So everything a little bit.
How does your body, work with being so much on the court? Like how many injuries do you have to nurture all the time?
Yeah, so it's not easy. I'm 41, so it's gonna
Like me, yeah.
yeah. So it's starting, but it's not all hitting in sessions. It's a lot of technique, so it's doable, and I try to stretch a lot if I can, and and I have found some cool devices over the years, like in like the red light therapy, helping me, and then like some massage stuff, massage guns. It's not easy, but it's doable. I don't want to do it until I'm 80, but like the amount of hours. But if I slowly decrease the hours, and if I'm 50, maybe like 25, and then just keeping it lower a little bit, I think that will work fine.
Would you ever want to go like on tour? For example, you coached Brody for such a long time.
Yeah.
Then you have to it must be emotional for you to say farewell and be like, okay, now you're ready for the big leagues in college, and then who knows what's going to happen after that. Must be tough. Like, would you ever like to go with him for a pro career or something? Would that have been a dream?
Depends how he develops, like, and then, everything, I leave those things open, but, to be honest, the travel is like it's just I don't know if I could do and would want to do it. I'm a very family strong orientated person. I have a 7-year-old who loves tennis. He plays every single day, couple of hours. He loves it. So I could imagine, obviously, when he's, if he's at that point someday, that I would do that with him. But I never say no, or I don't know if the right offer comes, if the right person comes. Yeah, might try it.
I talked about this with Ian Westerman from Essential Tennis. He was very much against like a parent-player coaching relationship. He thinks it often leads to a lot of frustration and maybe bad feelings between the parent and the child. Would you ever, do you have the same opinion, or you're feeling like different around that? Because if you're coaching, for example, your own son,
Yeah, I feel different, and I'll tell you why. Because I've seen so many relationships. I agree with him. I've seen so many fist fights between parents and kids. I've seen it all, But having seen it all, I don't want to be like that with my kid. So as of now, I think I'm going in the right direction. Look, I've seen too much in my life, and life's too short. That, like, I just want anything that makes my son happy. So I'm never going to be one of those coaches or parents that's going to push him. If he doesn't want to play anymore, I'm going to make him play once a week. So, he might have to enjoy it in a couple of years when he comes back. But I feel like if you're able to put your emotions aside, I know it's tough, and it's hard for me, like as well. When he started to play already matches, my wife watches, but there's always ways to make it happen. But like coaching and teaching him, as I said, I've seen so much that I know exactly what I can do and what not. Sometimes, for him, for example, even if the attention span is like 5 minutes, then I told him, let's work 5 minutes on things, and the rest I'll just let him have fun. And later on, it can work, and I believe it can work if you have the right mindset, and if you can separate the feelings, a little bit at least, and I believe it can work.
Yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of examples of that as well. I think it's just a balance you need to keep when you are doing it. If you're aware of it, it's much easier.
But one thing I wanted to say, I agree with Ian. When they get older, right, and there's a coach, I will not hesitating to let go, right. I'm not stupid, so they're people that have so much knowledge, so I would never hold him back. Like, for example, in coaching or in the fitness too, like I have a master degree in sports science, but that doesn't make me a good fitness coach. So those jobs are for the other people, and if there's a great tennis coach he gets along with, then he will be able to do that. But I think, the junior years, until then, that's doable for sure.
Yeah, you've seen some examples of players still traveling with their parents. Like there's maybe more on the WTA tour, but you have Tsitsipas with his parent, for example. Mm-hmm. Do you think that you need to have extra influences, or you think that can work in certain instances, for example?
Yeah, but like even with them, like I think at that point you have to let go. Like, as a parent, if you see like Tsitsipas, great, everything, but at some point I feel everyone is different, and the player might be different. You might say, I need my dad there, right? So that's okay, and it's okay then. But I think if you get the right person around with the right experience, they can always teach you something different that your father couldn't, and that might be the difference, or might not. But at least you should give it a try.
Makes perfect sense. I think what we've seen with the best players in the world is that they're always able to understand when they need to bring a new influence. Like, for example, like Novak, he works, okay, I need to work on my serve. He brings a coach in. I need to work on this. He brings Agassi. Federer, he brought in Ljubicic at the right time. He's also tried different coaches. Rafa, even with Moya, even though he was with Tony for such a long time. So it seems like if you have the smarts for it, you're able to understand, I am lacking in this segment. I need to work with someone else to get this part of my tennis.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah, it seems to be that sense. And but it's interesting with coaching, and what I've seen your videos on Instagram. Everyone listening, you should definitely follow Tennis Haus there. Great and quick and easy to understand tips, and also your technique is silky smooth when you hit the ball, so that also looks good, and I think people like to watch that. What's your strength, you think, as a coach? Is that the technical aspect or mental aspect, or what do you try to get through?
So for me personally, it's always hard to judge yourself, but I think one thing through my um, academical career, like I have a master degree in sports science, and there's a lot of didactic and pedagogic in there, and how you have to, I was supposed to be a teacher in Germany in school. That's what I studied for, and you learn a lot about classroom management, how to manage a lot of kids, how those approaches work, and I feel like I have a good understanding technically. You don't have to tell a kid when you teach kids, for example, oh yeah, when you serve, you pronate and long axis shoulder pronation. They're like 8, 9. I don't need to say that. So I feel like if you can make something that's like sounds so complicated and you can bring it into easy pictures for the students, and you have many draws you can pull from because every kid is different. I think that's one of the things I feel like I'm not doing bad. Let's put it this way, because I don't want to talk about myself. But I think and then the other thing is what's very important as a coach. What I saw over the years, I'm probably not going to obviously bring out the Roger Federer, and you understand that it's 26 years of coaching now. The biggest success for me as a coach is if you get a kid and you change their lives in a good sense. Like I had students who were insecure, who were maybe, were bullied, maybe had some too much weight, all those things. And then when you see them, that's so satisfying when they go and they're like 18 and go off either to college, or they look great, they have confidence. Those are the things that's 100 times more important than any trophies or medals. I saw that quickly in my teaching career. I try to develop a kid that fits into society and contributes good to society, with well-mannered, good values. And if I do that, I'm already happy. And obviously they have to be able to play a little bit tennis, otherwise I didn't do my job. But like that's the most important, so definitely saw that early on in my career.
Being a father yourself, and do you think there's an issue in currently, but also maybe in the future, with the use of mobile, AI, social media, everything you want, and not being out enough doing sports? Because when I grew up, and we're the same age, like you were free in your mind a lot to do whatever you wanted. You just would bike out or walk out, and you meet friends and you play football or tennis or whatever. These days it seems more difficult, and as you mentioned in the preamble here, is that it's tennis or any sport can really save a kid or make them feel so much better about themselves. It's such an important part of raising someone.
No, definitely. I think being in 2030 almost soon, right? So we're very far ahead, and the electronics are a big part of our life. So I believe that obviously the electronics not going to go away. So I'm a coach. Look, I grew up differently when we didn't have cell phones, and like you. So, but I try to not be too stern. For example, when we have a training session, some coach is going to tell you cannot look at the phone at all, right? I try to keep it, but sometimes, you have to see what kit you have. They're not all professional players, what we teach, right? And you always have to see what you have there. Sometimes the kid just wants to come out and just sit and talk to you, so you have to see. But in general, I feel always you have to go with the time, but keep good values. And I feel like if the kids go out and play 2-3 hours of tennis, and then they play at home 2-3 hours of PlayStation or do online stuff, I think that's fine. The problem happens if they're just home on the shooting games or whatever they play, right, in front of the PlayStation or Xbox, and don't do anything else. I feel like if the parents can get the kids to go 2-3 hours out a day and do physical things, because the mind and the body are connected, right? So if you don't use your body at all, your mind doesn't work right. So if they can manage to do that, I feel like that's a good compromise.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a well put. Like, you also need to go with the times. You can't just pretend that it's 1970. It is not possible anymore.
No,
Kids,
not anymore.
and it's also a good way to connect with kids. I've noticed, like, over the years, that you need to stay a little bit up to date with stuff. Otherwise, you kind of float away from each other, and it's tough to connect with your own kid. Even because he's in a different world and you're back in 1980s or whatever. So it's a classic
Totally
one.
agree. You're so right about that. That's so right.
So, spending time with Marin Cilic in Zagreb, what did you do, and how is he doing? I'm curious.
Yeah, so that was actually not planned. So I knew Marin from my online stuff before. He was always nice. We always communicated. My dad met him a few times, and then I saw him training there. And then they just connected after the session. And I asked him if I can spend a day with him on the courts, and he said, of course. He said just. He was working a little bit on a technique, was testing out. I think it was his knee. He had problems, so he was testing out his knee. That was 2 weeks before Umag, and then I think he lost first round 4-3. But I think he's pain free. He looked good there, and it was interesting to see. I mean, we can't forget Marin played all major final. He won the U.S. Open. I think it was 14. He was in the final of the Australian Open, was in the final of Wimbledon, and he played semis of French Open, right? So we're talking about a guy like top 25 probably, like with those achievements. And it was interesting to see how laser sharp focused and what exactly he knew. He was with his coach there, and they just hit a few balls, and then we're talking like 5 minutes, and he said exactly how he feels. I didn't have that. I'm not going to post it on online, but he was describing what he feels, and that was so cool to see. It's all about the feel, and that was one thing I took out of it. That they know their game, and it was unbelievable just to see that. And then after they talked a little bit, let's say they worked on the back end. After that, it just the flow was unreal. He had like 40 backhands, cross court in this close to the line, smooth. It's fun to watch him. But besides the tennis, what's for me always important is he's just a phenomenal human being. So humble, no extra vaganza. He's just like down to earth, and that's always for me important when I work with people together. If I have that feeling, I'm going to work with them together. There can be anyone in the world, and they think there's someone better, I'm not going to work with that person. Doesn't matter what the deal for me is. And then Marin is just like so cool. And then the other thing is like Dino, that played right now in Umag, that young Croatian kid that's 17 years old. He was training next to Marin. So in Zagreb, what's cool about there is that Zagreb has a HTK Zagreb. It's a tennis club there. And all of the guys train there from Chorich. They always, when they're in Zagreb, train there. So that's cool for the young guys to see like Marin training next to you. And then Dino was actually there, and we connected online after that. And I was like, was that you training there? He said, yes. I didn't talk to him, but I was like, wow, that kid. I said, wow. And then Marin was watching him too, and that was really cool to see. I think he made it to the quarters of Umag, So very feisty on court player. I like his style, so I hope to connect with him a little bit more. And then he's sending me now some videos. That's cool, and so I can post always. So that's fun.
Yeah, no, I was impressed by him. I watched a lot of the Umag action. My father is tennis obsessed, so it helps.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's too much tennis, but that's another story. But it's like, so I saw he was very energetic. Like usually when you see young players, it's easy to overhype them. But he looked very steady for his young age, like very mentally ready to go for it. Quite mature as a player, and that's usually a very good sign at this age, because you can have a lot of shots, but then you break down mentally, or you have other issues that usually would be a problem your whole career. It's like, but if you have the maturity, I think he has a very good potential. That's
He looks great. I agree with you. Very mature guy.
I find it interesting also that you pointed out the practice, because I've been to a few Novak's practices. He's here in Marbella. We have mutual friends and stuff. And when you see them practice, they can run into problems. Like, for example, today my forehand, I'm doing something with the grip, something's not working. And then they're very good at, just analyzing that and solving that problem relatively quickly. And then suddenly every ball is dropping like millimeters within the line, from having an issue. And it's just like, and I think what you pointed out, which I agree 100% with, is that it's a lot of it for them, it seems to be field-based. They have hit so many balls, millions and millions and millions of shots, that they now instinctively know, I'm not feeling the ball today. Like, there's something I need to adjust for the ball to be felt,
Yeah, true. They have to, and that's how it works. And then the coaches are there for that separate pair of eyes to see that. And then, and it's a fun experience. It's a good experience.
Yeah, I think watching practice is something I can recommend if people are around tournaments or clubs where there are like high level pros, it's really good to watch a practice, so even just for like 15 minutes or whatever. But it's like you learn quite a lot yourself.
Yeah, and then for the kids especially too with intensity, they think they're training hard, but they didn't see a lot of times, so that's always fun for them to see.
No, for sure. That's 100%. When you're training with kids or intermediates, what you're doing at your club, what's kind of a common problem you see? Like, is there something that you see pop up over and over again? Whether it's injuries or whether it's like a technical problem that is like very common.
Serve, like, waiter position, any level, even the kids, they drop the racket too early and they can't hold it up here. And then when the ball starts to fall down, then going in here. So on the serve a lot, and running on the forehand, running too close to the forehand, or backhand, doesn't matter, getting too close to the balls. And forehand grip on the volleys, so they can hit low volleys really good. Overhead look, I don't want. There's a lot of things, but definitely serve is the most, like, 98% of the people have trouble with the serve because they don't understand the dynamics. And then we have a great guy here in the U.S., Dr. Mark Kovacs, who does an amazing job. Good friend of mine. I learned a lot from him. He has those 8 stages of serve. I tell everyone, it's important to understand that, but like most common things, running into the ball, not judging the height and the spins of the ball good. And I feel like strategy. A lot of players just want to play points out. They don't want to listen to strategy, and tactics. And so I feel like, in doubles they could certainly learn more if they would listen a little bit more, like with court positioning, where to hit after you hit a ball, where to close in, and all those good things. But other than that, I think they're having fun and they're all doing well. It's all good.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part, and I think that's what we're seeing with that. We want more people to go to the clubs, like whether they are great players or mediocre players. What is kind of the percentage of singles and doubles you see? Do you see a lot of doubles? Like, do most veterans want to play doubles, for example?
That's totally different here in the U.S. That's a cool thing for me. Just want to point that out. I love that I coached about 12 years in Germany, and then I'm now coaching about 13 years in the U.S. So totally different. Europe is singles based still. You don't have clinics and all these things. Everybody wants to play singles, but they're missing out of the joy of doubles. When I was younger, I wish I would have seen doubles. Doubles is art. If you understand the geometrics of the court and all that's part of it, you have so much fun playing doubles. There's so much in doubles, and you can learn so much, and it improves the singles game. Obviously, coming to the net, I try to go. Like, usually, guys run up to the net a lot, and I feel like, the one or the other girl I'm teaching, I'm insisting. Obviously, when I have the girls slice, drop shots, good hands, like Ons has, and Barty had, and coming to the net, and then I just that's for me a big part, like coming to the net and learning, and you learn that from doubles. So that's why a lot of players, when they play satellites, they play doubles as well. Not just prize money is not so much there, but getting the hands and coming in, I feel it's a good practice.
Yeah, and also it's becoming kind of a viable career choice if the singles career doesn't work out. I mean, you mentioned it in earlier, like if that was more of a kind of obvious route for a lot of people, I think they would go for it because
Yes.
you can then specialize, and you don't have to be quite as strong as a singles player, and you can specialize on playing in a team. Some players perform much better in a team and not so well on their own because the pressure of their head. Like, I mean, even Nick Kyrgios could be argued that he's playing better when he plays doubles at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you train it earlier, you will get an understanding of that, and that will be an option. But if you don't play any doubles, then it's a problem, right? So
it's a problem, yes. And you can see the guys that play together for years, and then you have 2 singles players out of 10 matches. The doubles player is going to win 8. Let's say they're almost, so that makes a big difference. They know where to move, they know what the other guy is doing, and but it's fun. It's fun. Doubles, I love doubles. I fell in love as soon as I moved here. I love doubles.
yeah, and also you can kind of bridge a little bit of level difference if you have like 2 uneven teams. You can try to mix that up a little bit. And I think also that's why we've seen a rise of, I mean, there's paddle in Europe and there's pickleball in the States, because
Yeah.
it's like always doubles most of the, I mean, we'll say 90% of the time in those
Yeah.
sports, all right?
And it's a social sport, and it's hanging out, and it's quick to pick up, right? Tennis takes a long time to play decent, right? So yeah, quick to pick up. And people always ask me, like, with pickleball here, but I don't mind it as long as they don't take any tennis courts away for it. If they build their own things, I support it. But like, I have a problem when they start tearing the tennis courts down. But look, I always say, look at the Wimbledon final, Alcaraz against Novak, right? That's never going to happen in pickleball. That the people are watching it, and that you have those things, that was a special moment of history. Like, if you watch a pickleball match, it's going to be a pickleball match. It's not going to be Novak against Alcaraz or something. But I feel like it's interesting for people who just want to pick up something quickly and just want to play after work a little bit, something fun with some others. So I don't mind it.
No, I'm the same opinion. I don't mind anything that doesn't really like go out and kind of cannibalize of tennis. And I also think, in a way, that it becomes like an entry to tennis, right? Because like it's so easy. You start easy. Paddle is a little bit more difficult, but it's still easier than tennis. And once you maybe are tired of that, or you maybe reach a ceiling in your development or in the fun you can have, then tennis also opens the door to singles, which you don't have in those sports as commonly, So it's like, it could be an entry drug into the real drug, which is tennis.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah. And I had actually something interesting. I had a lady the other day who never played tennis before. She started with pickleball. So I'm going to make a video on YouTube about that, what I saw, like in the technique. And that was quite interesting, like when for example, she came, there was no follow through, she stopped every time here. I never thought about, if someone comes and starts with pickleball, how it's going to look like when they play tennis. So that was actually a great experience. So that's going to be one of my next videos on YouTube.
Yeah, I think that's a very good video, and it's also like a problem that's going to be somewhat common probably, and it's not tackled as far as I've seen. When it comes to working with like content production and being like a content creator, what are some of the like big benefits you've learned from that, or like some issues you've also encountered on your journey, because you've been doing this for a while now?
Yes, I started 2016. Whew, that's a long one. So I wanted to do something where I can give back to the tennis world, and I always want to reach a bigger scale. I'm not happy if I do something little. It's just my mindset. I want to do something big always. So I was like, what can I do? And then I started a Facebook group on 2016. Instagram wasn't booming as much as it's now, obviously, and all the stuff we have. And I invited tennis coaches I knew personally, and I started to put my coaching in there. So I started off with 100 coaches I invited, and then it just grew, and it's only tennis coaches. So if someone requested someone, I looked if that's a tennis coach. It took a lot of time, and the group just grew. And the cool thing at that time was, sometimes someone posted something, hey, my hard courts have a crack, who can I call to fix it? And that was I was like, wow, there were like 12 different phone numbers and suggestions within 10 minutes. I was like, well, I can use that group, to help people. So I had so many coaches at the beginning when I was really involved in that group, like, I need accommodation or something for my plays a future. And then coaches that didn't see each other in years connected, and it was crazy what you can do with that. So that was my idea, to give back. And the group was great. And then Facebook, I think it was 2018-ish, 19, you invited 5 friends, they started to block you because you're a robot. So Facebook, was like really going down at that time. And I was like, what, I have to do something else. I didn't tap into the YouTube market yet because I don't know. For me, it's a hard time. YouTube, I feel like sometimes you have coaches that could explain the thing in 10 seconds, but they speak 2 hours about it, because obviously, but look, I understand that they have to, because the algorithm and the minutes watched and everything. That's why I started on Instagram, those videos where I go like no and yes, and don't do this, and I try not to talk, so because I feel like sometimes it's more powerful if you don't talk and show something, that people watch it. And the feedback was really good. Some Spanish people call me like hombre mudo, that the mute man, so but I like that. And then sometimes I feel like doing videos where I talk. It depends, And then so I moved basically from that Facebook group. It took me a long time to build it up. I still have it and overview it once, twice a week, but it's nothing anymore. Like now, it's like Instagram fully, and I don't know. It just started to take off. I'm at almost at 265,000 followers now. That's it's fun. And what I try to do then on Instagram is I try to be like I call it a hybrid account. At the beginning, I sat down a couple of weeks and I looked through every tennis account that was online. That took me like a long time, hundreds and hundreds of accounts. And I feel like I picked, my favorites, what I thought is great coaching. And I can say, like Joel Myers, I like he's doing a great job. What is it, like tennis, like they're guys who are really, Mike and Babel is great, so they're coaches that are really good, and I'm going to share their content. So I was like, I asked everyone for permission, they give me permission, and then I was like at the beginning, I was sharing probably 80% of other people's content, and I put 20 on, and then the bonus came with Reels bonus, right? So, when it's getting into the money or when you get a little bit there, it was all my stuff. So I didn't share anything with the bonus. Or when I shared, I didn't put the bonus on because it's not my video. So, so I started to shoot like hundreds of videos. So, and then now it's like a mixture, like I have a guy from Croatia, Timote, that does those amazing Croatian picture videos. And I'm with Alcaraz Box. I have his doctor and the physio. They allow me to share things. So I try to share what I feel is very good and important. And, now it's probably like 60, 40, 60% my stuff, 40% other people's stuff. Because I feel always if you share and if you work with others together, you achieve more. If you think you're the best and you do your thing, it's great. We're all different. But I believe that the pot is very big, and as more exposure the good guys get, as better for the tennis world, So that's why I don't mind sharing. I don't have to be the best coach in the world, and I'm not. There are many guys out there that are great and better, but I like to learn from all of them, and that's my philosophy. Sharing is caring, and you will always be on the upper end if you share. That's just the way it is.
No, I agree. I think that's also more of a community mindset, which I think exists pretty well in tennis. Is that,
Yeah.
the whole idea with the podcast is also to kind of highlight people that I like and respect and want to talk to because I'm interested in them. It's not really about me; it's about like other people. So I think that's a good philosophy, and I think more people should try to take that philosophy. It's good to be like spreading what you think is good, whatever it is, and not be so too self-obsessed. I think generally in this society can be hard, but it's a good philosophy to have.
That's true.
So your workload, like, okay, you have content going on, you're doing 25, 30 hours a week or more, and you are also director of tennis. What does that entail besides the Tennis House event?
Court maintenance, managing my tennis pros, all that. So I cut and do all my videos. I know you did with Nicola the podcast. It's hard for us to give that to someone because they can't recreate it the way we want it. That's the problem about it. I wouldn't mind if someone has my ideas and everything. So yeah, so for me, I picked one software I'm working with, on the phone. It's an app. And since 7 years, I can cut a video just in a couple of seconds, like I just do it blind. And so what I try to do is, obviously we only have 24 hours a day, and I'm happy about it because then if it would be more, I would get more done, but I would die probably sooner. But no, but with the cutting and everything, when my son goes to sleep at night and my wife, I'm usually awake till 1. So I do everything from 10 to 1 in the evenings, and I still work, because for me, we have one life, and I love what I'm doing, and I know it's gonna it opened me already many doors, and it will open me even more doors. So sometimes I watch a movie or something to cool down, but like most of the times I feel like everything is a waste of time for me. That's how my mindset works. I need to create content, I need to cut, I need to have new ideas. I look at the best people and look what they do, and then I try, and I'm not ashamed of look, for example, the tennis mentor I loved. I love his things with the iPad, to do the stuff on you. So I asked him nicely, and I got a pen, and I do it now too, a little bit different because he has his hands there. I do it from screen recording, so I try to put my own touch on. And he said too, I appreciate you were asking me, and I like what you do. It's like I said, you learn from the guys that do a great job, and yeah, so it's very time consuming. But if you don't have passion for it, it wouldn't be possible for sure. But I love that, because family is the most important, but that's my second most important thing, and I just love doing it. Now I try to conquer the YouTube market. No, it's not going to conquer. No, but like I think this is the toughest platform, YouTube. If you did not start 8-9 years ago, that's sometimes I wish I would have started 2012, 13. You have all those guys in there that started early, because the long content is not easy, right? So and I feel like the algorithm, obviously, when you started early and you have your followers, they always put, top tennis coaching on there. Nicola is on there, 2-minute tennis is on there. All those guys, the algorithm puts it up, so it's hard to break through. But I feel like, the thumbnail and all those things got easier now. I feel like I got this, and now my videos, I always tell people, never stop. Like 5 months ago, I had 100 views on every video. I couldn't get more. But now I'm at 1,500 per video on average. So I know in 2 years I'm going to be at 50. They have to understand you cannot stop one single day. And that's the hardest part about when you ask me like the online stuff. Every single day, there's no stop. If you stop, and then 98% of the people stop because they don't see success, but you need to do it every single day. And that one day, like what happened with Instagram, I had 1,000 followers a day for like 2 months. I was gaining, I was like, whoa, what's happening? And that's fun to see then, and that's what you're working for,
Yeah, no, I think we all share that passion. It's same with Ashley that I know from Tennis Mentor as well,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
a lot of people I'm talking to is that they're all very passionate. They want to do it, but it comes from some kind of like giving back. But it's also fun
Yeah.
to obviously grow and have better reach. But
Yeah.
you need to conquer the algorithm, and you need to be at it every day. I don't take days off either because it's impossible. Like you can't just sit and do nothing, because I know I have editing. I know I have, I'm on court almost every day as well. So it's like, you keep grinding. That's the only way to do it. There's no other, no
The
shortcut
only
really.
the only way in the online world, you have to do it. It's like a second marriage, basically.
Yeah, yeah, and it can be tough for family and stuff like that. But if you're finding your time in the nighttime after tennis is done and
Yeah.
stuff, I think it can work pretty well, right? But
And even with the shooting video, sorry I interrupted. I just want to tell if someone watches that want to do that too. I shoot my videos on Sunday. So like I try to go 3 hours out there, and that's content for like a week for me, or maybe sometimes longer. So I tell people always too, sometimes if I feel like and it's not hot out there, I shoot 6 hours. That's a month. I just you have to see your workload, how you do it, and you have to manage your portions. So for me, that's important. I go on a Sunday out, 6 hours when it's not hot. That's 1 month of content.
do you script it out before carefully? Like, do you have to write down all your ideas, or do you do a lot of like inspirational stuff when you're on the court? Like, you come up with ideas. How do your like ideation process work?
So what I do usually is, when I'm teaching and I see something my students do, some of the students I'm in the videos, but some not, I write immediately down what I saw. So that gives me good ideas about the videos. Then I watch the best in the world. So I'm watching what they're doing. So I'm always on there at night, and then I try to shoot some videos like that, and then scripting it out like word by word. Not there yet. If I want to do something in the near future about going into details, like more like scientifically, so I will have to write it down, and I have to have this teleprompter in front of me where I read off it. So I have to write everything down. Like if it's sports science things, how the mechanics work on the shoulder, so I can't get that out of memory. And then it's funny too, what people don't see when we do that, and we do videos and we don't script. Sometimes I shoot the same video, like for like 10 minutes, and I'm almost done and perfect, and then I mess one word up, and then I have to do it again. So people don't see that part, but it's fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's a part of the grind. Like it's not easy to do everything in one take, you know, and you need to do some
Yeah.
editing, and it's like, you know, and sometimes it's tough to be satisfied. Or you're a perfectionist with the stuff you're
Mhm.
working on, or are you like easier on yourself?
True. I'm to a certain degree perfectionist because I learned too. If you're too much perfectionist, you suffer from that. I feel like so. So I let sometimes go because in the end of the day, like for example now on YouTube, you know, I'm at 30,000 subscribers almost now. You know, so now I'm getting there, and I feel like the content itself, I don't, even if I make the best video in the world right now, and you're like, oh my God, did you see Davor's video? You need to see it. Even then, I'll only have 3,000 views. You know, like because I know it's the quantity and the quality has to be good. But if it's a certain standard, I'm happy with that because you know later on, if I have 100,000 subscribers, it's going to be a different story. I'm going to probably be more perfectionist again because I know I'm going to reach more people and they're going to see it. Because some of my first videos, I feel like they were like good, but I reached 25 people, so I know, you know, and on Instagram the same video had 2 million views, you know, like so I know there, you know, okay, I have to let go a little bit on YouTube.
But yeah, with your pretty large Instagram following, at least you can also direct people over to YouTube because I think the like attraction of tennis content, meaning like coaching especially, is quite strong. So people
Yeah.
always want to improve. Do you think there? I mean, discuss this a lot with Nikola Aracic, who I talk to sometimes on the Instagram as well. Is that like content go ebbs and flows? Like sometimes there you have the maybe you've seen like Tennis Brothers, for example. He does the
Yeah.
road to the
Yeah.
ATP point. It's more
Hmm.
competitive content, but it seems to be that you know people always want to improve. They always want like the easiest tip to improve. Is that something you notice as well? Like people just want to take the like shortcut to becoming better at tennis.
Yes, and that's what people don't understand. It's the reps and the time you put in. That's the most important. There is no shortcut. So even with the best technical video you see, you will have to do it hundred of thousands of times to get that in. And people always want to take a shortcut. That's a human nature, right? If you can get somewhere quicker without doing the hard work, they're gonna do it. But in tennis, you know, you need the repetitions and you need to do it. The same thing when I have my kids serving. You know, you can't just serve 10 serves a day. If you that's the same thing. The video Kobe Bryant had, you know, like I love this video, you know, like where he said, look, it's simple how, you know, if you wake up at 4 in the morning, you work 2 hours. So you work out 2 hours, you have 2 hours in already, and you have a little rest. You do another 2 hours from 9 to 11, and then you go out again from 2 to 4. And if you want to, you go again from 6 to 8. So you have 8 hours of training, right? So if you have that mindset, you have 8 hours more and you do that every single day for 10 years, you have thousands of hours more than other people. And that's just the way it is in the end, you know, like, and you have to obviously do it technically correct and all those things, but you put the hours in, you will be better to a certain degree. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's the easy math, right? Like 10,000 hours. There's some books about that, like how
Yeah.
much it kind of
To master
compounds also.
something. Yeah. True.
Yeah,
And
and
it's just the
especially the
way.
serve. Like people have no real excuse if they want to go out and practice the serve, and you know you can watch a video. You can even bring your phone with you. And something I say, and I think you know probably you relate to this. Like, do you also tell people to record themselves so
Yes,
they
oh,
actually have some
definitely.
video evidence?
Always, yes. And then I'll show them the apps you can use to compare yourself with your favorite players. And there's always dangerous as well because, you know, I always tell people when you compare yourself to Novak, Novak can do things with his body differently than any other person, right? So you can't. Sometimes when he coils, he's so flexible. So a regular person that plays once a week, you know, they might just be able to turn a little bit, right, in the upper body because they had surgery or whatever it is. They're limited. So you can't do certain things. You have to always reassess who you have in front of you. That's what I always tell people in my videos too. Like when you have and compare yourself, it's good to have a guideline, but your body is totally different than what you see over there, you know, and their technique is totally, you know, there's certain main things in the technique you can copy, right? And then the rest is individual. Like on the forehand, the take back is individual. You just have to make sure you're right at contact point when you play on a fast surface, that you're not late if you have a big take back. And then the follow through is individually differently. Some people end here, some people not. Rafa hits himself here all the time, some people end low. But the main action of the shot is from that contact point going up into the follow through, that looks with every person the same. And then the grip determines a little bit the degree of it, but that's one thing that has to be correct and has to be the same. All the other thing is playroom, right? So if I have someone that comes from clay and goes like this, and they go play a fast player on hard court and they're always late, you have to shorten the backswing, so that's important for sure.
Do you usually? I mean, I struggle like if I coach, for example, my father or mother, we're hitting around because they're getting into tennis more and more. To give them just fewer advice. Like I get overload, right? I give maybe I think of I'm not a trained coach. Like I give maybe 5-6 tips of like bend your knees, do this, and then obviously you learn the process. Is that something you think about? Like that's easy to give too much, like how to connect
Yeah,
with your.
definitely, and we all have done that, right? But with the years, you just learn. Like I try to find the main root of the problem. Like for example, like on the serve, if someone goes in here too early, then I'm not correcting the foot position. Like you need to correct this first, that they stay up there long and understand. When they toss the ball up, that some people, when they serve, they toss up and chase the ball immediately while the ball goes up. They try to hit it too. Like those little things. If you have to fix the main thing, and then it's like a puzzle. But I try to pick always when I see something what I think is most important in the kinetic chain of the shot. I feel like I try to always pick the root of the mistake, and then I go and put it together.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to do it. When it comes to gear, I mean, like I've been doing a lot of gear reviews. That's kind of my
I
main.
love, yeah, and I love that. By the way, so just to hold your thought. Like I just, before I knew your account exists, and I saw it sometimes, but then I don't know where I saw you with Nicola because Nicola and I, we're both Croatians, and I was like, man, that's fun. Nicola is amazing, and then you two had such a great talk. I was like, that's when I started to follow you. And a friend requested you, and then I watched a few episodes. I love the gear stuff, and I want to do that's something too. I want to improve as well. So I'm trying to start doing some more gear things too, because that's gonna open more doors with other businesses. So you can't make yourself and shrink yourself into teaching. You need to expand, So I'm gonna learn a lot from your videos, for example. I just wanted to point that out.
That's good. I'm happy to hear that. But do you feel like sometimes like I can get tired of that? So I like doing the podcast, or I'm doing, traveling to tournaments and doing the kind of journalistic stuff that I was trained as in university. But do you sometimes find that people try to find the solution in the racket? Like, do you get a lot of questions about gear when you're coaching, for example?
Yes, that's right. They always ask you, oh, I need a racket. They want, ideally, they want the racket to play itself, right?
Yeah.
And they're hoping probably too, hopefully technology. I keep it basic when we talk about rackets. I try to explain them the basic things. And I feel like, I listen to many podcasts from good people. If the beam is thicker, you have more power, right? If the beam is thinner, you have more control, right? And you go to strings. If you string lower, you can hit the ball faster. If you string a little bit tighter, you're probably going to have more control. Your swing speed is the most important. It's not the force, it's the racket speed you create, right? It's like, what is it? M is like V times, whatever. So it's the speed you accelerate. That's why you can see kids hitting so fast, because some kids have it where they can look like a stick, but they can accelerate the racket fast. And then basic things with the racket weight, I try to tell them, obviously when, if the racket is too light, you use too much of the arm, right? That has to do something for you as well. And then you have to see if you have like, girls or boys and all the weight stuff. But I keep it basic, and I try for them to make them understand it's not the racket. What I do though is, I know that the Babolat racket is, I recommend that, like the Pure Drive, for example, those things more for girls, and the guys more like, like the other stuff, like I don't know what it's called, the Alcaraz racket, like,
Yeah,
or
the 98, yeah.
yeah. Well, if you have a head racket, I've been with head for many years now. Like the Radical is great, and I played the racket when I was younger. But the Prestige, for example, I wouldn't give a Prestige Classic or a Prestige to a 13-year-old girl, So those things I try to tell them. And I like what I'm gonna watch so many of your videos as well. Because learning it's important to me. You had great guys on our podcast, and I know Fabio helped me at the beginning. Then he saw I'm getting bigger, and no, I'm just kidding. No, but Fabio's a great guy. Fabio helped me a lot, and he does great podcast, and so there's a lot of things to learn about gear. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic because, like, I've done it for so long, so I almost get tired of it. Then it's fun, like, when I sometimes have pros asking me if I'm an ATP event, like, can I ask you questions? Can we go for dinner and stuff like that? And that's fun because that's, changing grams or changing tension with something, or, opening up the string pattern, asking Wilson to fix the string pattern or whatever. But then for the recreational player, a lot of that stuff I get is that people get too obsessed with it. So it's also like a double-edged sword where you feel like, like you said, the basics are the most important part. Find something that you're happy with, and don't string it too tight usually, because that can lead to a little bit of elbow issues. And then you just play tennis, and hopefully you put the money, instead of buying all the new rackets, you pay for good coaching, and I think you will improve as a player, right?
No, I agree with that with you for sure. And then and it doesn't even have to be. I always tell people too, like, when you have someone who wants to get really good, lessons are important. But I always tell people too, like, for example, I could teach 70 hours a week. I have this limited time, right? But I tell them, look, see me half an hour a week. You don't have to come 3 times. See me half an hour. Use a ball machine. Use the wall. Play matches. But the fundamentals, that are the most important. So if I have a new guy that never played or a lady, I always try in the first 8 hours, I try to give them the fundamentals on every stroke. And then if they do it right, they have to go on the ball machine, play with friends. I don't want to see them anymore. Maybe once a week to maintain it, but they don't have to spend thousands of dollars, because they need to learn on their own intrinsically. They have to go out there and play. So
do you think sometimes there's a reluctance to play competitive matches? Like, people are a bit afraid of that kind of tension that tennis can bring if you play, especially singles.
Yeah, I think definitely. Like, they have a lot of respect to go out there in singles and doubles as well. Like, it's a league match. They're getting nervous, and then what happens too? How often did you hear in your coaching? Oh, in training I play so good, and then I go in a match, but I tell them, because the only thing that works for me, that I tell them, is if you have a practice match. They do that in practice matches too. They don't play their real tennis. They do it in a training session. No one is going to be eating you when you try something, or the good players will try, and you will stay your level if you don't try. If you always get back to pushing like this, you will never be able to hit through. And you hit through maybe for 2-3 weeks, and then it's going to work. You're going to feel better, but the fear is there. And I feel like it's a social thing, the fear to lose, the fear to look bad in front of others. People always think too much about others. I learned that too, just off topic. I don't care what people think about me. I try to be the best version of me. I try to respect everyone how I would like to be respected. And, and that's it. That's all you can do. If you think too much about the others, it's not going to work.
No, it's the Southern mentality. I like it. I'm the same. Like, you can't overthink what other people think, because then you can never control it 100% either. You don't want to change your way of being, just because what other people think. So, and that's very important also. Do you ever have any trolls or anything that piss you off on Instagram or stuff like that? Do you get any nasty
I'm not going to say any. Oh no, actually, with that, like with Nicola, I don't have that problem, because I always try to be like Switzerland. Like, I try to be neutral. I'm not, I feel like, I don't know, I saw that too, that when you guys were talking. I know, I block a lot. Obviously, the system works better, but I never got any, no, I'm good with it. Sometimes, yes, like, they make, like, personal comments, you shouldn't eat too much chicken and all that, but I don't care about that shit, like, because when I played, people don't know how much workload you have, I just don't have the time. Sometimes, sometimes I have phases where, I'm skinny. Sometimes I have phases where I gain weight, but I don't care about that stuff, because, like, they don't know what I have to do and what I'm doing. So I just block them as soon as I see a comment like this, and that's it. I don't, nothing bad or something. Like, I know Nicola had quite a few of those, and it's annoying, but those guys usually, I always tell them, just post something by yourself and see how that goes, don't judge others, like, and I always say too, like, when you watch those videos, like, sometimes it's misunderstood things as well, you can't put everything in the video. Look, if you like Muratoglu or not, I respect him for what he did, but sometimes, when he teaches things, he just expresses it different, but it touches this. Like, for example, like, some people had problems with when he did the frisbee thing. You don't hit a backhand like this. Yes, you don't hit a backhand like this, but when you go to contact, and the moment when you feel that ball a second, that might actually help to be looser a little bit and go through. You're not hitting out of the wrist. You're still following through, but it's like it's a little, and that's where I feel like people are picking too much, like on those things, because you don't know the whole context. And yeah, some things might not be right as well, but I don't have to go in there and write that to that person. I know that for myself, and I don't need to make a comment or like be mean or something about something.
No, and usually these people kind of get bored of being that kind of person anyway, right? It's just troll behavior, and I think just forget and just block and leave them. I think it seems to be the best policy.
Yeah, and then discussion doesn't help in any, like in real life as well. Like, just like let them write what they want and block, and like that's it. Life's too short. Like, I cannot. But I'm good. I actually really never had anything bad. So thank you guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I've been pretty saved as well. I usually have a pretty loving community, which is good. But sometimes you have it, but generally okay compared to other niches. When it comes to, you have busy days. Do you ever have time to watch any pro tennis at all, or?
Yeah, I like to. Yeah, the majors I like to watch, and I always try to at night to watch a little bit. And when I was a little bit younger, I was like crazy recording the matches and then going and watching all the strokes from Novak. My time was like even like later in the early 2000s, like Moya, and I looked at every part of the shot, and those things I do a little bit. I have to stay with time. What is Alcaraz doing so much better than other players? So I try to. Everyone tries to figure that one out, right, from the good guys to beat him, and has to try to find now things to beat him, because he's the person with Novak obviously still like to beat. So try to experiment there and watch a little bit and have some ideas. But yeah, when I can, the majors is good, and I like the bigger tournaments, and I like my son. He likes Alcaraz and Rafa, so I'm happy about that, So he's 7, so I like for him to watch as well. So I watch with him.
Yeah, and good attitude, the player's attitude to learn from, like Rafa and Alcaraz, like always a smile on his face. Like Alcaraz, I really love that guy. He's
I love
just
that. I love him.
fresh air, really.
Yeah.
And when it comes to tennis watching in general, like some people talk about like the diminishing interest in watching tennis on TV or streams or whatever. Is that your feeling as well, that tennis needs to change something? You were talking about Muratoglu previously. He's trying this UTS, and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
My opinion, my 2 cents on that is like the thing, the event looked like fun, and I think the players had fun. But for me, I like the traditional way of playing, So I think a lot of my friends as well. They I just enjoy the way it is, and yeah, that's maybe fun to watch one time, but I don't think it has future to be like taking most part of the year or something. But it's fun entertainment, and I think that should be in the calendar as well. And nothing against it. I think the players had fun. They looked like they were laughing and enjoying themselves out there. But for like a tennis fan, nothing. Look, as I said earlier, Novak against Alcaraz. I mean, there's speechless still. There was so much intensity, fun to watch. It had everything. So I don't think there needs to be anything to change there.
Completely agree. So what's in the future for you? Like, do you have plans just to grow Tennis House? Do you want to launch your own clothing brand? What's in the
Actually, you know
future?
what? You so everybody, well, since I copyrighted and trademarked the logo like 8 years ago, and I think it looks good on clothes. So,
Yeah, it
and I
does.
heard
Yeah.
that from others. That's just in the future. Look, not so easy. You have to find people that produce it, and so that's just like in the long run. So what I would like to do is like the tennis event I have once a year. That's one thing I want to keep growing. So this year is the first time with DJ Madlings, who's coming as a DJ. There might be another great DJ coming. So we have like a party. We have a mixer where people can come and play with the presenters like Johan Kriek, Emilio Sanchez. That's fun, right? Then we have a sponsor dinner. Without the sponsors, I could not do that event. So we have unbelievable people in my club that help me to get something beautiful to our wonderful club. And then we're going to have the educational part for coaches mainly and parents. And so it's like a big event. And I want to grow that even more. I want to get Tennis Channel one day in there. So that's fun doing, and I would like to go, since my son is almost 8, I can go a little bit more to tournaments again. I have, like, Cilic plays out there, my Croatian guys, they all play, and Laszlo, like, Laszlo, Jerry, Laovic, all the Serbian guys. My friend Petar, who's with Mutet, like, Mr. Spine, he's with him. So I have a lot of friends who are on tour still, and I would love to watch a little bit more. So I try the best to get to the US Open. I did a mistake with Wimbledon. I didn't know that the players only have 2 accreditations, at least the regular players. So I couldn't, unfortunately, get in. But I know the US Open is different, so I'm going to get in there because they have way more accreditations, the players. So yeah, some traveling a little bit more, and with working more closely with the brands, and do like product stuff on YouTube and grow my YouTube. But as I said, my job is my first thing that will not change. I'll keep it that way because I love what I do, and what I can do aside of that, I will, and that's going to be the Tennis House stuff.
Awesome. Well, I thank you very much for the conversation. Really enjoyed it. Wish you the best of luck.
too.
I will keep following your progress, and we should reconnect at some point. Hopefully, meet in person. I would love also to go to the U.S. Open. We'll see if I can make it happen or not. But otherwise, next year, some U.S.
If you
tour
come
would
to
be
the
fun.
US Open, let me know. And if I'm in Croatia or somewhere next year, it's a small flight to Sweden. I have still a lot of Swedish friends, and we can meet anywhere. I lived in Malaga for 2 years, so I know everything in Marbella area. So, Spanish was my other thing I studied, so I'm fluent in Spanish, and I like the South, Andalusia. So I wouldn't mind going there as well.
That's cool. Yeah, that's where I'm based. So that would be great. Yeah, and I've heard that the UMAG event is pretty nice to go
Oh
to as
yeah,
well.
it's beautiful. We could go. Yeah, yeah, definitely. We can do something together maybe the next year. I would love
Yeah,
to.
yeah, that would be great. Well, thanks,
Okay.
Davor. I wish the best of luck with your day, and we keep in
Thank
touch.
you. Thank you so much. It was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, man.